Today we're solving equations. We're going to start with the simple one-step equations. And one-step equations, we have to remember that you're only going to be taking care of one operation. So let's talk for a minute about what inverse operations are. Inverse operations are operations that are opposite each other, like addition, subtraction are inverse, multiplication and division are inverse operations. So our goal in solving equations is to always isolate the variable. It doesn't matter how many operations we have to perform. We always want to isolate the variable, which means we want to get the variable by itself on one side and equals and an answer on the other side. We never want to leave the variable negative. You always want to make it positive, which is always just going to mean dividing by -1 if it is negative. So let's take a look at a few examples of one-step equations. So the first example I have is x plus 8 equals 12. Don't be fooled by looking at it and saying, oh, I know, that's easy, it's 4. Yeah, we all know it's 4, but the only way we can get good at this is by practicing with the easy ones and doing all the steps so that when we get to the harder ones, we'll know what to do. Remember what we said. We want to isolate the x. We want to leave the x by itself. How can I do that? I need to get rid of plus 8. What's the inverse of plus 8? Minus 8, the opposite. We show it like that and we cross it out. And we do minus 8 on this side and we get 4. And so the answer to this problem is x equals 4. I'd love for you to put it in a box. Let's try another one. This time we have subtraction in here. So to isolate our variable, we want to get x by itself. We want to get rid of minus 9. And we're going to do that by adding 9. You always want to show what you're doing to both sides. Remember, the goal is to get x by itself by balancing the equation. We're crossing this out. 14 and 9 is 23, and we love to put that little box around our answer. All right, the next one, number 3. X plus 6 equals -15. Now this is where 7th graders get confused. We want to isolate x. We want to do that by getting rid of plus 6. So we do minus 6 on this side and this side. This side cancels out. Now this side, what we're really doing, and sometimes I think a good strategy is just to draw an arrow and write it out. -15 minus 6. Add the opposite, and you get -21. So x equals -21. Let's try another one. Number 4. This time, if you notice, x is here, but attached to x is 4. We need to get rid of that 4. How is it attached to x? By multiplication. How do we undo multiplication? With its inverse, which is division. So we divide this side by 4, and we show it like this, and we divide this side by 4. So x equals 8. Okay, let's try another one. There's lots of different ones I could give you. I'm obviously not going to give them all to you. I'm trying to hit upon the ones that you're going to see most frequently. -3x equals -18. This is similar to the last one, except for the negative signs. So here's my variable. I want to isolate the variable. It's attached by multiplication, so I get rid of it by dividing. Divide this side by -3, divide this side by -3. And x equals 6. Positive 6, because it's a negative into a negative. Next one. Now here's an example of what happens when you have a negative variable. We can't leave it like this. It's like leaving a fraction. It's like leaving a fraction unreduced. So I'm going to find my variable x. It's attached by multiplication to -1. Remember that imaginary -1. We know it's always there, but we don't have to write it. So if I divide this side by -1 and this side by -1, I get x equals -26. What I'm really doing is just taking the opposite. So if I had -y equals 4, y would equal -4. -a equals -2, a equals 2. That's what happens when you divide by -1. All right, let's take a look at another one. Let's do in this case, here's my variable. I want to isolate it. It is attached by division here. What am I going to do here? Well, I have a lot of choices, but I can multiply both sides by x. And then I get 5 equals 3x. So now I know that I need to divide this side by 3 and this side by 3. And x equals 5/3. And you can just leave it like that. All right, and let's do one more like that, and we'll be done with this. 6 over y equals -2. There's other ways that you can solve this one, but for right now I think this is the easiest. You multiply this side by y and this side by y. 6 equals -2y. Divide by -2, and y would equal -3. These two are really two-step equations. I put them in here just so you could see division, what it looks like. We're going to touch on multi-step in the next clip.